It's about that time of day again here, folks. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James with SchoolOfTrade.com. We're your nightly newsletter. It is September 9th, 2014, a Tuesday evening here, broadcasting live from our corporate headquarters here in sunny Los Angeles, California. Happy Tuesday. Middle of the road here this week. Had a pretty sloppy session today. Made some incredible profit in our live trade room here. We always seem to find a way to find profitable trading opportunities every day. Do I have a jam-packed newsletter here for you guys tonight? Before we jump into our nightly newsletter here for Tuesday, September 9th, I want to remind you guys, get on over here to sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're not watching this video right now on our blog, there's a link below the video on our YouTube page. And get on over here to sidewaysmarkets.com for 3 specific reasons. The first reason is below the video this evening, I have the link here for you to download all of my charts. That's right, all the charts I'm working on tonight, in addition to some bonus charts, right? Being able to zoom out and really see the big picture on these charts. All of those charts are available for download, but you've got to be over here at sidewaysmarkets.com. So click that link below the video here tonight, and you'll be able to download all my charts and have them ready for your trading tomorrow. Second thing, upper left-hand corner, I have a free pass for anybody who would like to come out and join me in my live trade room this afternoon this week. Take me up on that offer. Grab a copy of your free pass in the upper left-hand corner. Come join the trade room. And then lower left-hand corner, if you'd like me to send you an email every time we send out our newsletter, I have a special email list for my nightly newsletter. Go ahead and give me your name and your email address. And one last thing, if you register for our newsletter or you register for your free pass for our trade room, make sure you check your email. I'm going to be sending you a verification email to make sure that you are not a robot. All right, so make sure you guys verify your email once you register. 3 things on the blog: download the charts, grab a copy of the free pass, and register for our nightly newsletter mailing list. All right, let's rock and roll here today. Lots of exciting stuff happening in this world of ours right now. But I'll tell you, today was one of those days. The markets felt a little bit light today. We didn't have a lot of news. Clearly, traders, something's keeping them from really committing to the market. With the exception of gold, gold pushed lower significantly once again today. But boy, I'll tell you, crude oil pushed lower this morning. It tested our exact sell zone last night, so we get a great sell short on crude from last night's newsletter, but it didn't give us much extension today. So we're looking out for a possible sideways range on crude tomorrow's session. It's a Wednesday. We'll talk more about crude in just a moment. As you can see right in front of you here, gold keeps pushing lower here each day. We continue to see gold grinding lower, and it continues to have a little bit of difficulty here getting through this low of this range. But we're still looking good, and we hit all of our profit targets provided to you guys last night on our newsletter for gold. So gold continues to perform well. If you watched last night's newsletter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mini Russell. The Russell is probably the most difficult of the markets we have right now. The Russell is in transition here right now. So we get a really important session tonight if you're a Russell trader. All right, remember, we have to beware this transitional period right now on the E-minis. I'm going to talk about the Russell in just a few moments as well. We're not quite ready to call it short yet on the Russell. So overall, a slippery, sloppy trading day across the board today. Volumes were right about average. We didn't get much out of geopolitical stuff. We've pretty much kind of swept the Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Israel thing under the rug. Everything appears to be okay there. At least it's not affecting us too badly right now. But again, the lack of major news today, we heard from the JOLTS report this morning. It really didn't give us anything new, right? It pretty much repeated what we saw last week from non-farm payrolls. Are markets still reacting to last Friday's non-farm payrolls? Are they trying to find a silver lining, right, in that disappointing report from the jobs report last week? Or are we simply being distracted by Monday Night Football, right? Who knows, right? Difficult to tell why things are happening. And that's exactly why we always tell our new students in our trade room, don't worry about the why so much. Worry about the when and the where. So let's jump right in. Here on gold, we can see we have an attempt, right? We kept on trying here, right, to get below this range low. We kept moving lower, but we kept getting sucked back in, right? It reminds the old saying, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. You can see the low of this range here. Got that big wick down at the bottom here, and we're seeing, again, pretty much same thing we saw yesterday. We saw this move lower and then whoop, right back up before we could go. Almost confirming for us what we saw in the price action, which was this inability to really extend to the downside. It was almost like dipping your toe in the water and whoop, nope, not so fast. So sellers are still in control here on gold, but again, we still keep feeling this for the other markets, for the Russell and Crude, we still haven't seen this much confirmation. Now, remember, last night on gold, we gave you guys some easy sell zones, right? If you took my advice on that and stayed short on gold, you were on the right side of the market. We have updated these targets here for you guys tomorrow, but we hit all of the targets on the way down here on gold. So we're having a very, very good week for our forecasting on gold right now, and that means all we're going to do is find the patterns. 3 steps to success. 3 steps to success. What's my trend right now? Trend is bearish. I've got lower lows, lower highs. I'm below all the key red moving averages. Where's my next setup to sell short? I've got short setups here at 58.4, 72.9, 87 even. And I got this trend line coming down overhead too. That will also be another spot here. We will look to be a seller. The easiest spot here will be 1258.4 and then 1272.9. We are bearish. I'm looking to sell short. The setups we see here right now, reversal line setup, trigger zone setup, trend line setup, channel setup. Members, you know what I'm talking about. Use your targets down below. I've got targets below us at 46.5, 38.9, 32.6, 14.9, and don't forget, this is a long-term channel here, so we are now right at the low of that channel. What this tells me is that this sell at 58.4 will be a lot lower percentage. We'd much rather see this get up into this 1272.9 area so we can sell it, get us off that low of that bear channel, right? Trading at the lows of a bear channel always going to be a little bit more challenging than selling at the highs. Here's a better look at it now. Here's my 32 anchor chart here, and you can see right away, clearly we're in a downtrend. I've got my trend is down. Where are my setups? Well, here's that 58 initial setup here. And again, it'll still be an option to sell there right now. But if I had to choose, I would wait to go a little bit higher here just because we're just getting off the low of that channel, right? Remember, we want to sell at the highs of this channel. That's where we get the most bang for the buck. Okay, like my good friend Richard Wyckoff always says, want to make sure we sell or want to make sure we enter the market as close to where that trade becomes invalid as possible, right? So rather than selling down here where there's still plenty of room for the price to keep going higher, right? That's why I say it's lower percentage. I would rather now wait for price to get up here and then sell it short. Bottom line, though, is we are in a downtrend. I will be looking for selling opportunities here at 12.58 even, as well as 61.5, symmetry at 65, 69.1, and 72.9. So trigger zone setups, symmetry setups, trend line setups overhead. There's no reason at all right now for us to be looking for longs here, so we're looking to stay short here on the gold, and you guys have plenty of ammunition for you guys to be selling. Again, this is why I said a little bit sloppy here today. You can see, right? This, of course, was yesterday. I gave you guys the 58 even yesterday evening, right? So remember, this was the call from last night. It went right down to that target from last night. Right? So I'm not using hindsight. This is called ahead of time last night. Don't take my word for it. Go back and watch last night's newsletter and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, right? So we gave you guys the sell last night here at 58 even. How many times we tested this? Once, twice, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's a good example of a scenario where on this chart, we could easily see why 58 would be a little bit less desirable, right? It's been tested. This is the 5th time it's been tested. So you can see a very valuable level there, but how many times are we going to give it? If I had to guess right now, I would imagine we go up and then look for a short down here or up here at 61.5. I've got setups overhead here, reversal line setup at 58. I'm going to call that lower percentage. I got 61.5, 64.6. I've got a trend line overhead, which is the high of this channel, and 69.1. We got 3 different types of setups: reversal line setup, trigger zone setup, channel setup, trigger zone setup. All right, 3 different types of setups, 1, 2, 3, 4 different areas. And again, I would discount the 1258 even as a good valid setup right now because it has been tested 5 times already. All right, you guys get targets below you: 1247.8, 1244.8, 1240.6 to the downside. Don't forget, if you're a gold trader out there, I provide you with direction. I provide you with setups. What I haven't provided you with yet are these specific entry patterns with exact entries and exits. I provide that to all of our students in our live trade room. So don't do this on your own. Come out and join me tomorrow in the live trade room, and we'll give you guys the guidance you need on the gold, giving you real-time entries and exits with live trade calls. On to the mighty mini Russell. This market is struggling right now. This is one of those times when the Russell is, well, I think this Russell needs a little bit of a nap right now. It's looking a little bit cranky. It's a little bit, well, let's talk about it. Earlier this month, last week, we talked about the fact that we had tested the high of that range. But this is not the real high, right? This is what we call the wedge high. So we, of course, have a calculation to define a consolidating market. We noticed that last week. And if you remember, I said, all right, we go up, we test. Now we're probably going to rotate back to, and we put a target down here at 1121.5. I'll make a pit stop here at 55. I'll make another pit stop at 36. But we can almost, at this point now, we can almost guarantee we're heading down towards that 1121.5. I'm not quite ready to call this a short yet, because you're going to see in a moment we're not quite there yet. It's wobbling though. Just a little nudge and this baby goes to the short side. So here's what I'm seeing right now. We go from the low to the high. We come down, right? There's my first clue for consolidation. And again, if you've been watching my newsletter, we marked up this high about a week before we got there. We get there. Now, yesterday, remember last night's newsletter? We held, and it looked like they were trying to make a run for it again. It looked like it. And you're going to see that again in the chart here, right? But today, if there were buyers in the market today on the Russell, I couldn't find them because it was really bearish. It wasn't so bearish. It was just there was no buying going on, right? There was very little buyer pressure in the market today, and you could feel it. Every time we went up, we would struggle to go higher and then whoom, right back down. Try to go higher and then wham, right back down. So it was almost as if the buyers were just hobbling in. It's difficult because we don't have a lot of fundamentals to cue on right now. We have last week's non-farm payrolls, big disappointment, but I think people discounted that because of the prior months plus 300,000 jobs that were added. Tough to tell right now. We're going to know by the end of the week here this week. We know, though, right now, though, there were very few buyers in the market right now. That's the way it felt this morning. We made a killing on this thing this morning on a failure to go higher. We saw it try to go higher. We saw it fail, a little bit of a breakout set up this morning in the trade room. Literally $1,000 later, we were watching this thing go lower. And I'm laughing as we're watching it go lower. I'm going, guys, we're supposed to be long right now. We're supposed to be buying here. Well, again, we couldn't find any buyers in the market. I'm still erring on the side of the bulls here. Take a look at that. Oh, so bottom line is, though, is that I don't see, at this point, the next couple days are going to be really key. If we don't see these buyers step in right here, I mean, it's like right now, last call, buyers are needed. If we don't get buyers here, it's almost a guarantee we go to 36, right? The daily BMT. And then from there, maybe we roll around a little bit there, but I don't see us, unless the next 48 hours we get a turnaround here, I don't see us pulling out of this move lower, because it fits all the boxes here, right? It really fits the bill right now to be a consolidating market. Doesn't make much sense, right? Does not make a lot of sense considering the fact that we've got the NASDAQ and the Dow, right? They haven't pulled off their all-time highs very far. So very interesting scenario here. And this is just one of those reminders why I really try not to understand everything. I know that sounds bad, right? What do you mean you try to understand? I really don't. What's my trend? What's my setup? What's my pattern? By trying to understand it all, sometimes you can't. Sometimes there's no easy way to rationalize it, right? As the chaos theory says in day trading, no one event is going to make the difference. So there's a lot of things that are going to play right now. Make it easy on myself, make it easy on yourself, and just worry about what you know. And right now we know that we are really close to tipping over here right now. We talked about this earlier this week. It's my 64 anchor on the Russell. I go all the way up to the 98, all the way to the 87.5, right? Well, all the way to 87.9. And you'll notice this little head and shoulders we find here, right? So the head and shoulders pattern is just about to break down. Now, we got to remember, a head and shoulders pattern, the way that we're going to trade it here, we got our shoulder, we got our head, and it looks like it's giving us a little bit of a bearish, right? Lower armpit, if you will, right? So what happens is we need to make a new lower low, but then we need to see that retest and then go lower. So what's going to happen? This is why I said I can't make the blank statement yet, but in the next 48 hours, we're probably going to know for sure here. That area right there is what's going to happen next. Right? What happens tomorrow and the following day is really important because this is a very significant transitional area. Right now, we do a lot of studying of technical analysis. And one of the things we know about technical analysis and trend is to give the trend the benefit of the doubt. So right now, that's why I keep saying the next couple of days, this is going to tell us exactly what happens. It might be tomorrow morning. It may not be, depending on what the price action does tomorrow. But you can see, though, we are right there on top of that long-term BMT on the 64. That's at 54.6 right now. We inched down to it today. In fact, we almost left the runner this morning in the trade room. If you remember mine, you recall what I said. I was thinking 11, what was it, 1150, I believe is what we talked about this morning. But we can see here, though, 1154.6 is going to be that long-term key moving average for us. And from there, that's what's going to tell us where we go next. I've got major support below me at 54.6 and again at 45.1. So those are the levels, the downside, that we're using as targets right now. On the next chart, you can see, though, this is going to give us, this, in my opinion, is the most useful chart. This, in my opinion, is the most useful chart here. Now, this is a great example of how the trend life cycle works. We have a bullish trend. Right? Buyers are buying. We made a ton of money following that trend on the way up, right? Buying those pullbacks. We made the pullback here. And if you recall from last night, my exact words were, this is a great buying opportunity. But if you listen closely last night, what did I say? My exact words last night were, if we don't make a new high. Remember that last night? Right? I finished the conversation last night by saying, if we don't make a new high, and I think the number I gave you guys was 74 or 74.1, right? So we come in this morning, we see that we tried and failed, and that was what gave us that nudge to the downside. We have a strategy called the breakout strategy. We watched it fail, and then we immediately sold short. Made a bunch of money on it after it failed. I'm not comfortable, though, selling short right here, though. Remember, I'll gladly sell short at the highs. Selling short at the lows, not so easy. Now, here's what I always say. I want you to think of it this way. When you look at a trend like this, and we have this, what happened here? Hold on, guys, 1 second. When you look at a trend like this, there we go. Look at a trend like this. We get this bullish trend, right? Then all of a sudden, we break down, right? We make a lower low, some lower highs, and now that lower high now turns us into a range-bound, sideways, right, type of environment, right? So here we are right now. We're going sideways. We're going sideways. There is a buy zone here, right about here, right? So there's my buy zone. We're sitting on this buy zone right now, right? We're sitting right at the top of it. It felt very bearish today. But we've seen that many times before, where it feels like there's no way this thing turns around. But guys, the bottom line is, again, just like we know, give the trend the benefit of the doubt. So we're still calling this bullish. But boy, I'll tell you, they're going to have to pull something out of their hat right now and get this thing to go higher here. And this would make all the sense in the world because we had a channel, right? You break that channel, you pull back the support. This happens all the time, right? Almost as if to give the buyers a second chance to get on this channel. But reality, though, is that we are right there. And what I said this morning in the trade room was, if we just start collapsing, then we know what's going on, right? But right now, though, we haven't made it yet. We haven't quite pushed through this area yet. And the way that I always say it is, anybody can put together one day. Anybody can put together a rally or a big decline. But show me you mean it, right? And what I mean by that is show me that you push through this, right? Still, that's going to give us the green light to be looking for shorts, but then I got to wait for the price to retrace before I can start selling short again. So it goes bullish into sideways, and then once we get that low, but remember, the key here is right here. The key is going to be, once we make that low, do we retrace and then still go lower? That's the key. That's the difference between having a possible move and a very high percentage move. So right now, we are in transition right now on the Mighty Mini Russell. So what I'm looking for here is right now, I am technically still bullish, right? I can see I've still got green clouds. I've got one that's changed to red, so I'm teetering, right? I'm right there in transition. So we talked about this morning. We're going to buy those lows. We're going to sell those highs, because the way it feels right now, this may end up being our range right here. I'm still going to err on the side of caution. I'll go full size on the longs right now. Partial size in the shorts here. Only went partial size earlier on, right? Got that short all the way down. Made some great money selling it today. But that's about as far as I go. Now, the next step is key. Do we show support here? If we show support at these lows tomorrow, you know what I'm talking about is correct. If we see support here, then we know we're at least, at the very best, we're going back to the highs again. At the very worst, we're going sideways now. So watch this area right here. Watch this area between 58, I would say 58 and 53, right? Watch this area closely right here. If we hold and go higher, again, scenario 1, we go sideways. Scenario 2, we're going right back up at the highs, because this is a classic price action setup where we go channel up, we break the channel, test support, and then go again, almost as giving all those buyers a second round of opportunities to get back into the buy side. If we do go lower, here's the key. If we do go lower, all of these levels now below me become targets. Okay? If we make a new lower low, that's not going to be that big of a deal. Because what's going to likely happen is we're likely going to see stops get run. And when stops get run, what's going to happen is it's going to really quickly go lower. So you're probably not going to be able to catch the short on the way down the first time. Just like most people trading Elliott wave are not going to be on wave 1, right? Who gets on wave 1? The early adopters. The only people who get in on wave 1 are the ones who either A, have insider information, B, are way aggressive, or C, have an extremely intimate relationship with this market, right? So bottom line is, majority of traders are not going to get in on the first push down. Bottom line, neither will I. What I will do, though, is I'll wait for price to retrace, and then once it starts to make its decline again, now I gotcha. That's where I want to start selling. So be careful not jumping in too early here to the downside. Because again, the life cycle of a trend says, first of all, give the current trend the benefit of the doubt. Second of all, be aware that this is nothing more, right, than a transitional area. We could easily jump right back up. So don't go selling the home here and put it all on the short side of the Russell just yet. The next thing says that anybody can put together a move lower. So don't bite at that move lower. It's probably going to move too fast. If you can get into it, fine. But just be aware. Be careful with that short. Because again, a lot of what's going to happen is that's going to be stops being run. So you're going to get a lot of this stuff where it goes sideways and then bam, right? Sideways and then bam. It'll be difficult to catch. Make it easy on yourself. Don't try to be the first one in the short. Wait for it, and then again, once it comes back, then we have the proof. Once it rolls over, now we know we're bearish now. Okay, we saw the same scenario happen just a few weeks ago on the Russell, right? Right here. You can see it right here. This is exactly what happened. We're going lower, going lower, going lower. We go sideways, right? Remember, we made a ton of money a couple weeks ago here selling those highs every time. Then, oops, sorry about that. Then we get the higher high. We push up. We wait patiently. When it starts to make its move now, there's your green light right there. There's your buy. There's your buy. There's your buy. So guys, this is nothing new. This is nothing outside of what we normally do. This is just new for right now, okay? So look back in the beginning of August, and you can see an exact example of what we're getting right now, except now we're doing it the opposite direction, all right? So that's my plan there on the Russell right now. Again, we're starting to be careful here right now. Now, if we want to sell, all right? I know we have some sellers out there right now listening into the call tonight. If you're a seller right now, here's where you want to be selling short with. I've got sell zones overhead at 65.1, 67.3, 70.4, 72.3, and then we've also got this trend line overhead. Got a couple trend lines overhead here. Use those trend lines as areas for a short as well. And I got targets below me, 52.1, 48.1, 44 even, and 35.6. Again, you can also use the levels off that 32 anchor. Those will also be good targets, right, if you are a short seller on the way down. All right? So my plan for tomorrow is I'm going to come back in the office tomorrow morning, see what happens here overnight. Again, if we make a lower low, I'm going to be drooling over that retracement. Then I'm looking for the short. All right? So come out tomorrow morning. Log into our trade room, 8 a.m. Eastern time, we get started, and I'll give you guys an update on what I'm seeing on the Russell. The Russell really is the market that has me pausing a little bit here, right? So remember, there's no rule that says we have to be the first person in. So stay patient on the Russell, all right? Stay patient on the Russell. On the crude, boy, oh boy, these sellers keep trying, and these buyers keep defending this 93 area. This has been fun to watch, but a little bit frustrating because we're short here on crude right now. And I'm going, please, would somebody please finish these sellers off? Eventually, this is going to collapse. Well, I shouldn't say eventually, because in all reality, if these sellers, if they either run out of bullets or something new, right, a new crisis comes out, we may see these sellers give up. And it may go right back to that BMT 96.75, where you can see here we've spent quite a bit of time in and around that 95 to 97 area, right? So, well, I'll tell you, we have been teetering on this. Back in mid-August, it tried once. Jumped back up, right? There were fresh violence concerns in Ukraine. Go back down again. Again. This is the 5th time we've tried this thing. Somebody, please call the traders in the pit. Tell them, I'm buying lunch for all the sellers. Keep pounding this thing lower here right now. I feel like I'm ready to beg. I'm ready to beg here. So we can see the trend is down right now, right? We know the trend is down. My 64 anchor chart. We can easily see lower lows in price, lower highs in price. But again, we keep getting stuck here at this 92 area. We need to get a nice push to get this thing to go lower. I've got the shorts on right now, along with the pants, of course, bad trading joke. 90.58 is my target at the downside right now. Long-term target 89.84. And dare I say, possibly all the way down to the 85 area here by the end of the year this year on crude. Now that's a good overview of it. We got some more sell zones over here at 96, 96.63, 97.7, right, so on and so forth. But more in the short term right now on crude, we can see here, this is a very good chart here. Very, very useful chart. If you look back at last night's newsletter, we gave you guys the 93.90 last night on the newsletter. Remember that? Well, this morning we come in at 9 o'clock, and where are we? Oh, there we are, right? Sitting right at 93.90. So what do? We get short. Made a great amount of money this morning in the trade room selling short at 93.90. But here's the big problem. What happened? Why didn't we get down to that low again? That's a big concern. Now, if you've watched my newsletter consistently over the years, you've heard me say this many times. Lower low in price, test my sell zone, I'm selling short. But I need this thing to get down to that low again. I need this to show me a new lower low. If I don't get that lower low, now the door is wide open for A, a range-bound scenario tomorrow, or B, a possible zigzag now into symmetry, right? There's a possible zigzag now into symmetry up at 95. So this leaves the door wide open tomorrow, which, by the way, is an inventory day tomorrow, right? Yeah, I know, right? So we know inventories are going to be a little bit sloppy to begin with. So we look at this and we go, okay, we're still bearish, right? We made the lower low. That was yesterday. I gave you guys the sell at 93.90. That was this morning, right? So everything lined up perfectly. The only thing we didn't get out of it was a darn lower low. So again, now we're wondering, is this the range now for tomorrow? Right? Is that the range for tomorrow? One last chart here on the crude, and we go, not good. This is the chart that tells me, yeah, unless something happens here overnight, if we don't see a shakeup in this market personality between now and 9 a.m., no, we'll say now and 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, right? The unofficial start of the U.S. session, we will definitely be looking for a sideways range tomorrow. All right, so what I'm looking for is I want to at least see this start making lows. I would love it if I came in tomorrow morning and see this price at or around this 91.80, because that means my long-term targets, which are at 92.26. Members, we gave you guys this target before we finished up today, right? Before we finished up the trade room today, we gave you guys that target, 92.26. That's going to be a short-term target. So we're not going to look at 91.80 just yet. We're looking at 92.26. Why? Why do we care about 92.26? Because we didn't finish the job off. The fact is we didn't finish the move back to 91.88, which leaves the door wide open here. At the best case scenario, a wedge. At the worst case scenario, beep, right? The EKG goes silent, right? Just one flat line in tomorrow's inventory report. So again, be on the lookout for a possible range-bound market tomorrow. I'll know for sure tomorrow morning about 7:30 a.m. Open up the trade room at 8 o'clock, and we'll give you guys the guidance we need. Heads up here, though. Look for shorts at 93.64, 93.90, 94.15, 94.40. Profit targets 92.26 and 91.80. I could easily see, though, I can read between the lines, though, tomorrow, that may be my range right there, 92.26 to 93.64. That could easily be the range, okay? So, again, market personality is going to be key tomorrow on crude. We know we're bearish. We're still going to default to the downside right now, using all these levels overhead as my sell opportunities. But, again, we gave you guys an easy sell last night at 93.90. If you took my advice and got short, right, you're probably disappointed, just like I am, that we didn't get back down to that 91.80. Okay, so now we're adjusting our expectations to fit the personality. 92.26 is my target now to the downside. A runner target will be all the way down the low of that channel. And then again, if we make it back into this area, I'll look again to sell it again. I'm not quite sure if I want to buy here at all, but I will be conservative, though, with the profit targets, right? So I will buy it back at 92.26, and, of course, look again here if we collapse down at that channel low. All right, guys? Moving forward here, now that you know the deal, we're still just as bearish on gold. We're transitioning on the Russell, and crude oil, definitely a bear still on crude, but again, going into tomorrow, where we get our inventory report, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that personality tomorrow morning on crude. As always, come out and see me tomorrow for real-time updates, and we'll tell you guys what we're seeing tomorrow morning in real time. Tomorrow's news. Tomorrow is September 10th, 2014. Boy, we are only a couple days away here from the anniversary of the Twin Towers and, of course, 9/11. What a remarkable, I can't believe it's already September 11th. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone by. So, looking at news here for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 10th. We're not quite there to September 11th yet. We've got news out of Japan tonight here, 7:50, so just a few moments here in Japan. That'll get Asia going. We got minor news tomorrow out of France at 2:45. I've got crude oil inventories tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. And then we got major news out of China tomorrow night at 9:30, Australia at 9:30, and again from China at 9:30. So looking at this news report we have for tomorrow morning, really the big news here is going to be in the U.S. We don't have a lot of big news out of Asia tomorrow morning. I don't expect to see a lot coming out of Europe either. And then, of course, we go into inventories tomorrow on crude. The petroleum status report Wednesday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Be on the lookout for nasty price action tomorrow morning on crude. And what I always say is we're going to sit on hands tomorrow here from 10:15 until at least 10:40. Once we get out of that news report, and remember, the news report at 10:30 tomorrow, guess what? The news itself has nothing to do with what we're going to trade. That's right. The news report tomorrow has nothing to do with my strategy for trading crude after 10:40. Wait, what? Yes. Usually this news report, the initial reaction is the exact opposite. So if you see the bulls jump in at 10:31, you know you're probably going to be selling short. As I said at the beginning of the call tonight, rather than trying to understand it, just react to it. Find my trend, find my setup, find my entry pattern, and we do this in real time every day, all day in our live trade room. So be aware tomorrow morning, all eyes and ears are going to be on Russell for that transition and crude, because crude, we're expecting it to be a little bit sloppy. We got that lack of follow through on the anchor chart tonight, right? We talk about that, and then combine that with tomorrow's news. I could easily see us going sideways tomorrow, at least until 10:40, and then again, 10 minutes after 10:30, we'll take a look at the market again, see what direction we're going in, and then we'll make our educated decisions from there. I won't predict. I'm not going to trade the news report at all. I'm going to wait until the news comes out, let it calm down, find a direction, and it will most likely continue with that long-term trend down. All right? So, looking for another great session tomorrow morning. I hope you guys had a great day today with us. We had a fantastic session today in our trade room. Don't forget to download today's charts. And then before I let you guys go, don't forget over here at sidewaysmarkets.com, over at SchoolOfTrade.com. We got a free trial here on our website. Head over here to SchoolOfTrade.com. Grab your free trial. I've got 3 levels of membership, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I got someone standing by here 24/7 to help you guys out if you need any help. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Joseph James from the entire team here at School of Trade headquarters in Los Angeles, California. Thank you for stopping by and listening to our newsletter here tonight. Don't forget to come out and see us tomorrow in the trade room, 8 a.m. Eastern time. We open up, and I've also got a free trial for you guys to test drive the room as well. Have a great evening, guys and gals. Don't forget, learn it, and you can earn it. We'll see you guys in the morning. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.